Hi, I'm going to be showing you how the administration section in Clicktyns work. So let's just go ahead and log in. So once you log in, we have the pending tax. So the pending tax shows the list of all the taxes that have been scheduled for nurses, be it an initial or a reassessment. And then we have the completed taxes. This is the taxes here are listed when a nurse submits their notes. The note goes to the nurse manager. After the nurse manager is checked it, then it would appear here. So once it appears here, you just have to click on the reassessment link, or you would see a link there saying initial assessment. Once you click on it, you will get access to all the notes that were filled, and you can print and save it to your hard drive, or you could just leave it in there. So after printing, you then click here to set it as printed so that it could leave the list. So for us to go back to the home page, you can either click the button here, or you could go ahead and click the dashboard, and then we go back. So once you click that, it will disappear from the list of completed taxes. So let's go to all past due patients, just as the title says. So all past due patients actually has to do with patients whose next visit is actually below the current date. So the administrator could take an action, either call the nurse to find out why the nurse hasn't yet seen that particular patient, or maybe that patient is not active anymore. You could actually set them as inactive. So that is basically what this section is for. And then we have the active patient list. So the active patient list, we're just going to go over some of the functions here. So this actually lists all the active patients that you're working with. So this section, you can actually search the patient by the first or the last name. So here we could go ahead and you get the patient you want to work with. And here too, you can also search by the staff name. When you search by the staff name, you want to see all the patients you've assigned to that particular staff. And you could also search by staff name and then give a date range to be able to see the patients they are supposed to see in a particular date range, and then print it out if need be. Okay, so let's go ahead and go over some other features here. So when we look at the patient's name, if you click on the patient's name, you'll be able to see the patient's profile. So in here, very important section is the type of visit. So normally this is set when you are entering the patient. So one thing is that once you set this monthly, and once you set this is used to calculate the next visit date anytime the patient is being scheduled. It calculates it automatic. So if there is the chance that the type of visit changes, you have to come to the profile and select the type of visit, and then once you're done, you can hit the update button. So I'm going to update this patient to 45 days, and then once I hit the update button, you see in here that we have 45 days here now. So let's go back to the home, and then we go straight to the schedule. So schedule patients. So you can actually schedule patients for your nurses, and in this section too, you can assign patients to your nurses. So the first thing you do is you set the date. So either way, whether you are signing or you are scheduling, you select the date you think the the nurse is going to go and visit the patient. So once you set that date, the next thing you do is click on the staff that will be going to see the patient. Once you click on the staff, you notice here that the next visit was calculated automatic. So what it does is that it just adds 45 days to the date you are supposed to go and see the patient and set the next visit date for you. And then we have the form type. So what the form type actually stands for is you have the initial and the reassessment. So if you select initial, it makes available all the possible forms the nurse can fill when they go and visit. And then the reassessment also does the same thing, also makes all the possible forms they could fill for a reassessment available to them. And then if you're not going to schedule them to go see the patient directly, and they would have to do the schedule themselves, you can just go ahead and assign that patient to the nurse. And then when the nurse is ready to go see the patient, they themselves can schedule on their side. And you can see how that is done in the clinical tutorial. So let's just go ahead and set this, and then we have the service type. You just select, this is not mandatory, you just select what the nurse would go and do when they go and visit, and then once you're done, you could hit the add button. And then the link we have inactive here, so to render a patient inactive, you just have to click on this inactive button and the patient will go to the inactive section. So let's go ahead and look at the signature request. So what the signature request actually does is that when a nurse goes for the initial assessment, there are some of the forms that the client has to sign. So at that time, if they are not able to sign the forms and they submit the initial assessment, definitely they'll call either the manager or the administrator to inform them they weren't able to sign some forms. So what you now have to do is you go here and then you select the forms they have to sign, and then you type the email address of the client and then you hit send request. When you do that, in their email, this is how it will look. They will get an email looking like this. So the email address you see here is actually the email address you use to register your account, and then the title of the email they will get is signature request. So when you call them, you could tell them to look out for an email signature request. So it's relative. It takes about 1 minute, sometimes 30 seconds for them to receive that email. So once they click in it, they'll be able to read, and there are steps to how they can sign. And in the step, all what they just have to do is they click on the link, and once they click on the link, it would open this page for them. There's a code in the email which is here, 265. They could go ahead and enter that, and then once they've entered that too, they will see here that they are supposed to fill the telephone release and the consent form. So they also have to enter the date of birth of the client. If they get it wrong, they can't gain access. And once they click in there, they would gain access to the forms in here. So all what they just have to do in here is take and fill all what they have to do. So I'm just going to type try. Please note the names I'm using are not real, they are just for example sake. So once they're done, they could save, and once they save, they can print this form, because once they close this page, they will not gain access to the page anymore until you resend it to them before they can gain access again to print, or you can either print and email it to them. So it goes with the other forms they have to fill, and once they finish filling this, they can save and it would reflect on your end. So let's go ahead and go back to our home. When we click on the profile, you can click the top here to view the initial assessment. So if we click on you would see what we just typed and signed is available here. So that is how to get to the forms they signed. So I could just go over that again. All what you just have to do is that you click on the patient, the profile. Once you click on the patient's profile, you click on initial assessment. Once you click on that, you go to the form that you ask them to sign. And once you click on that, you'll be able to have access to the forms you ask them to sign. So now let's go back to home. So now that we are done with all the possible things you could do at the active patient list, we move straight to the inactive patient list. And once you look at the inactive patient list, this inactive patient list are the inactive patient and then the prospective patient list. So what happens is that anytime the community liaisons enter a client, they would appear here. So once everything has been made official, you would search the particular client and then you render them active for them to be able to come here, and then you can start assigning them or scheduling them to nurses. So here too are some of the forms the community liaisons fill with them, and when you click on them you'll be able to view and also print it out if the need be. And then we have the add new patient. So just as it says, you just have to collect some information. So the difference between adding a patient at the administrative level is that once you add a patient here, it goes straight to the active patient. So I'm going to go ahead and just do a quick example here. So I'm just going to go for maybe Mike Owen. And I'm just going to enter a date of birth. So the date here is actually more like today's date or the date the person joined, and then you can select the gender. And then as I explained in the other before we go to this page, we have the visit types. So you would select the type of visit. So if to be visiting them monthly, you would select that, and then once you're done, you would hit your add new button. So if we go straight to the active, you would see here that Mark Owen has been added in here and not yet assigned to any staff. So you can go ahead and do all the other stuff I explained. And then we have the creating the staff account. So you can create a staff account by typing their information here. And the staff account, we have 3 categories. So what you are viewing right now is the administration section. So if the person is going to be working in the administration, managing the patients and managing also the staffs, the person can fall under this. And then we have the community liaisons, which you already know. And then the clinicals are just for the nurses if they are just filling the notes. And then the manager is more like the mixture of the clinical and then the administrator. So a nurse manager that manages the notes written by the nurses and also have some administrative permissions is the nurse manager. So you just select the one that applies, and once they log in, they'll be able to go to where the section they are supposed to go to. And then we have the staff list. So the staff list actually shows all the staffs that have been registered under your account. You can either delete them once you feel they are no more working by your end, because once you delete them, they can no more gain access to the system. And then reset is when a staff calls in and then they've forgotten their password. You just have to hit reset, and then we already told you the default password, so you just have to give them the default password. Once they enter the default password, it allows them to create a new password. So that is just a summary for this section. So we can go over some important tools. If you're using the iPad, you want to get a full screen of the page, you can click on this button, you get the full screen of the page. You can click back on it to return back to the default, and then once you click on this image, you can get access to your profile where you could edit your name if there's a mistake. And then the signature, normally the signature is only used by the nurses, so if you're the administrator, you don't have to sign. Once you finish entering, making any changes, you can update. And if you need to log out, you can log out from this section. And then we have other important sections you could come see. So we have the frequently asked questions, which will be updated regularly. Here it just shows the questions most people always ask, and then the solution is just below the question. And then we have the feedback. So what the feedback does is that you are able to give us feedbacks and then comments, and once you post, we get the notification and we would reply you and address all your consent. So it would be nice for you to tell us how we are doing. If you're doing bad, please let us know so that we could improve our services. And then we have the video tutorials. So the video tutorials here gives you access to videos of each section. So if you are new to the system, you just have to click on your section and then watch the videos. The videos are usually between 5 to 10 minutes. So thanks for listening.